There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Maybe Gaming. I'm Nick on the side of the comments, of course, Justin. And, oh boy, you did it again, Xbox. You stepped in it. You stepped in the dog turd. You don't do this. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Actually, before I get into that rant, let me just say, there's not been much video this week. We're doing this a bit late. Blame that on me. I forgot. There's been big news that's come out over the last week and a bit, though, of the Xbox price hike. And I should have done a video on that. Haven't gotten around to it. I'm doing it now. Good thing too, because more news is breaking, and honestly, I imagine more will as the days go on. We'll probably see. Well, you'll probably realize why by the
You're
end of
you're
this
gonna
video.
you're
But
you're gonna be seeing a lot more news about this as time goes on.
yeah, you're probably going to be seeing a lot more news as time goes on. And if you haven't somehow heard about this because you're just not into gaming, what are you doing here if you're not into gaming? Well, actually, no,
Why are
stay.
you
I need
here?
some.
Stay, but why are you here?
Why are
What
you
what
here?
games are you interested in?
Can I sell you a subscription?
What company are you unhappy with today?
Can I sell you a follow button? But but yeah, no. If you somehow haven't heard, Xbox has raised the price of Game Pass again. Xbox Ultimate specifically is getting the hammer throw, not hammer, the inevitable fate brought to it. Now we're having the price increase. Now Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is going to cost, granted this is the US pricing, not the Canadian, so prices will differ. It's going to be more expensive, I just don't know how much. $29.99 a month, and that is Ultimate. We go down the list to Premium, that is $14.99, and Essential is now $9.99. So yeah, Ultimate went more expensive, and oh, big boo boo on Xbox's part because everyone's revolting.
Everyone's not happy with that choice at all.
No. To spare you a bit of quick mental math, someone apparently did the numbers, and apparently that works out to about $300 a year, which, in the words of one response, that's not a subscription, that is Xbox's rental fee nowadays. So, yeah. The Ackman did a whole video on this. It's insane. It breaks down this whole thing in a far more depth than we're going to go into. His video is going to be down below. We'll be referencing some things as well as our own things throughout this video, but yeah, go check that out. It's funny. I referenced this one before I went into the show as well as my own research, so if you want a good laugh about it, just go watch him. He does a really good bit about it, but yeah. So here we are. Xbox is now even more expensive than before, which is the second or third time it's been increased in the last 12 to 15 months, I've been told, which, congratulations, you done it, you ruined it. You killed the last sacred cow that was the Xbox's sellability, honestly, because let's be honest, they haven't really had much in the way of exclusivity for years. They've been slowly moving away from just traditional hardware. They say they're going to support the next gen, but, you know, who knows, right? Who knows? That the only thing they really had going for them was Game Pass. And now everyone is just, it's revolting en masse. Nothing shows that better than Google search terms, which apparently spiked to the point of just breaking the scale of how do you cancel Xbox subscriptions. It got so bad that the site to cancel your Xbox subscription crashed. So, yeah, not good. Nobody likes this. And I hate to be an Xbox executive right now because, oh boy. And this is just kind of one of the list of many dumb decisions that are just stinking of greed at this point. I mean, the Xbox Ally that was coming out, we talked about on the show before. Yeah, the suggested retail prices have come out, and in the US alone, it is like $1,000 some dollars. In Canada, it is $1,300 something dollars for that. The second version, which is the slightly cheaper version, which I think is like less memory, slightly, I can't remember how the exact numbers work out, as well as slightly less RAM, is still like 700, technically 800 or more with tax. So yeah, not much of a bloody big difference. So yeah, between this, Game Pass going up, Ally just being way too expensive, it's just a bad time for Xbox. And it only gets worse because recently news has broken out that one of the co-founders of Xbox called the price hike a betrayal. One Laura Fryer, who's apparently been at Xbox since, I guess, the early days. I don't know much of the old guard myself, but I'll take the word for it here. Brought to you by GameSpot, who actually made this article. Apparently she has a YouTube channel, With the latest increase to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox threw away, this is her words, one of their last advantages, said Fryer in her latest YouTube video. It feels like a betrayal, like greed over gaming. I recognize that this Xbox console generation isn't over yet. It's almost certainly going to be remembered first and foremost for Xbox's greed. Again, this is one of the old guard of Xbox saying this. So if even the old guard, who I don't think works with them anymore, is saying this, then you can bet your bottom dollar
Something's not
that
going well.
yeah, we mentioned before earlier in the show that, Xbox has indeed said that they're committed to the next generation. The article does, in fact, mention that Xbox's current VP, Ronald, don't know why my tongue couldn't say that, reiterated the company's commitment to the next generation of hardware earlier this year. This article is from October 9th, by the way. So, yesterday, as of the time of this recording, or 2 days ago, I should say.
2 days ago.
So, yeah, they say they're committed to the next bit, but, I don't know.
They...
I mean, that's the thing, right? There's this subtle influence that I've been getting over the last little while for Xbox, that they're moving away from consoles, right? Subscriptions, and that has been the way of that they're trying to push it for a while now. I think Phil himself even said that, he's not interested in the console wars with PlayStation, and I guess Nintendo's in there as well. He's not interested in that anymore. And it makes sense now, especially when you consider all the moves that Xbox has made over the little while. I remember being in the UK and seeing ads for this is an Xbox, and this is an Xbox, and this is an Xbox, and it's just like a long line of different things like a laptop, a computer, an Xbox console. They're definitely trying to expand their brand over multiple devices, and things like Game Pass was one of the big ways they could do that. Their streaming service, the Ally that's coming out, which we've already talked about, how that's a bloody mess as well. All these things kind of influence the idea that Xbox isn't really interested in just hardware anymore. They're branching out, maybe even getting rid or preparing to move away from Xbox's consoles altogether, which is why I bring up that, yeah, the VP did say that they're still interested in the next generation of consoles, and while I'm not going to call them a liar on that one, I am going to bring up the point of, but what about the generation after that? There's already talk on the rumor mill that PS6 is already somewhere in the line for the next 2 or so years. Or year or so. So, yeah. What about the console after that, buddy? Is there just never going to be an Xbox Series... I don't know what you're going to call it anymore. Y? W? I don't know. Xbox's naming convention is weird. Why couldn't they just do what PlayStation did and just keep doing the numerical thing? I don't know. Then again, they started with 360, so... I mean, in fairness, Xbox shot themselves in the foot with their early days because they're like Xbox 360, Xbox One X. Apparently, they're just picking fancy numbers at this point. They just didn't do the Nintendo thing where they're just like Nintendo, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. The fourth one is coming out. What are we going to call it? PlayStation 4. Brilliant.
Yes.
Excellent, Yasuda. You get a raise. But, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to call it. all the numbers are out on that one, but all this put together just screams bad press. And again, this isn't just a little thing, right? Because these prices are certainly being felt. We're coming to the point where the industry is it's so saturated with subscription costs. In fact, there's an article by The Guardian which even mentions that Xbox Game Pass price hike is starting to match that of streaming services for TV, for pity's sake. I mean, Spotify itself made $1 billion, according to the article, last year in profits alone.
Yeah.
But, granted, the article in The Guardian is in pounds, not, dollars, so forgive me if the numbers are different, but they said it's going up from $14.99 to $22.99, or euros, I mean. I think it's euros or pounds. My symbols
I think it's
are
pounds.
I think it's pounds, yeah. So again, forgive me if the numbers are different, but again, it works out the same thing. Granted, here's the funny part. This is where things get really weird. Because apparently, Xbox has stated that while these are coming, these changes, not every country is going to feel it immediately. Some countries, mostly in Europe, as the article mentions, will be getting a delay. Now, I don't believe it mentions how long the delay will be, but there is a delay. Granted, there is a key exception to these price hike delays, and that is the US and the UK. They will still pay more. So... yeah, if you're in the US or the UK, you're just gonna get slapped with this immediately. Sorry, there's no grace period for you. You're just getting it right now, which is funny because those are the two countries with the highest dollar value in my knowledge. So I love that they're like, oh yeah, all the countries that are the poor countries, they get a delay, but you two, you're rich, you can pay up right now, chop. You know, it's like I don't know, man. It just feels weird that those are the two countries that are getting it, especially when you consider how powerful the dollar value is. I might be completely off the mark by guesstimating on that, but I don't know. It just feels weird. And they say that they're like giving some benefits because of this new plan, some unnamed benefits I think the video mentions, which on the video, Xbox put out a reveal video talking about this whole spiel about the whole increase in prices. They're listening to us. Yeah. They're listening to feedback. No. Their words were, "We have listened to your feedback." No. I believe the words you're looking for is you listen to investor feedback, but that's beside the point, I guess, at this, moment. But let me just make it clear. We don't have that link down below. We thought about it, but we decided against it at the last minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of clear that they put some random employee to make the announcement, and it's one of those things where if you know the internet, you know people are gonna go after that person no matter what. So please don't.
Yeah, we don't condone that here. No threats, no hate mail. That's just low, even for, the internet. So we don't condone that. Me and Justin have been on the internet long enough to know you gremlins react. So don't. This isn't, name I now suddenly cannot remember. My brain has suddenly gone blank all of a sudden. This is not, I want to say Jason Schreier, but he's a reporter. I don't know why I want to say that. This is not Phil Spencer, thank you. This is not, thank you, brain, I guess. This is not Phil Spencer or female whose name I cannot remember because I don't. He's the one I've always known. I don't remember the other one. Yeah. Nothing personal. I just don't remember the name. But this is not him or her. These are not the heads of Xbox. This is just some random employee they sent out to basically throw to the dogs because, let's be honest, I know this wasn't going to go well. So, yeah. Don't hate on the employee, guys. This is just her doing her job.
They're trying. Don't be upset with the employee for making the announcement.
Yeah. You want to be angry at Phil or, the heads of Microsoft who are probably also involved in this decision. Or, female employee's name I cannot remember. Dang it, that's... I feel bad because I can't remember her name. But I've always known Phil, so, it's the name that I always think about when I think Xbox. It's nothing personal. But yeah, this is not them. This is just random employees, so don't be mean, guys. At least not to them. Or at least not to her. Not her fault. Be angry at Phil. It's his fault. But, so yeah. That video mentioned that apparently there's some benefits coming with this whole revamped system, which apparently are like 3 bonus benefits for unnamed benefits, mind you, for things like Overwatch and League of Legends, I think, and one other one I can't remember. Maybe, I want to say Dota, but that's on Steam. Anyways, 3 free-to-play games that are just free-to-play anyway, so whoopie-dee-doo. Apparently also the Call of Duty discount that people got for Call of Duty coins. I don't know too much about that because I don't play COD, but apparently the Call of Duty coin bonus or discount that you got, basically the premium currency, you got a 50% or some discount on that. That's gone. Which is funny because they actually also now own Activision. Therefore, they also own COD. Therefore, you'd think that would actually be more reason for them to give a discount because they can actually command them to do that, but instead they did the opposite. Yeah, that doesn't stink of green at all. And this is the part where I would devolve into a conspiracy theorist and point at a random whiteboard in the background and say it's all Activision's fault, guys.
As you can see, this is the clear chart that goes and indicates the timeline of events that this has all been set up. Everything is an illusion.
Everything is connected, dudes. It
all goes back to the Illuminati.
It's all the Illuminati's fault, man. They're the ones who run Activision. They're the guys who are on the board of directors. It's the Illuminati, guys. See, the A in Activision looks like the triangle of the Illuminati. So when you put those two together, you get a pyramid. What is the pyramid? The Illuminati. See? It's their fault. It's all their fault.
All connected.
This feels like I could have an offshoot channel where it's just conspiracy hour with Nick, where I just point at a random whiteboard and just scream about conspiracy. Oh boy, but you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised there's some truth to that madness. Because here's the thing, right? If Bungie, I know, weird segue. They're Sony's problem nowadays, but it's weird that after Activision bought up Bungie and or not partnered with Bungie, Bungie's whole business practice suddenly went downhill like a flicking rock. And even after they split, that seemingly poison still lingers. Yeah, the car guy. Do I need to bring him up again?
Yes.
And now Activision is with Microsoft, and look what's happened to Microsoft. I don't know, maybe they're the plague. They carry greed and hatred wherever they go. I don't bloody know. But, I mean, this is the company that went on stage and proudly declared if you don't have phones. I'm gonna stop right now, because otherwise I'm going to start...
we're gonna go into the deep end here.
I am going to devolve into a conspiracy theorist and start pointing at Activision and say, see, it's all their freaking fault. But anyways... But yeah, that's kind of where we are with the price hikes. Again, they're just ugly. They just aren't great. I hate to be the executives right now who probably are the one, well, let's be honest, they did make these decisions, and look where that got them. We were joking before the show where it's like part of the reason why analysts predicted this, right? And Actman does bring this up in his video, which is why I point you guys to that one, where he does say that there are analysts who actually predicted that Xbox's Game Pass, because of how everything works out, it was too good to be true, right? They were going to increase the prices incrementally as time went on. Here's the thing. Now here we are, a few months later, of those analysts saying that, and those analysts are coming back being like, yeah, sucks to be right, and also, we predicted this would be incremental. They just immediately went to like 30 immediately, which, fun fact, is around about the price those analysts predicted. They predicted like $30, it's now $29.99, so they were pretty much right on the money. It's like Activision or... fuck. It's like Xbox saw those analysts' tweets and were like, you know what? That's a good price. Joe, put that in. And here we are, like a few months later. So, sucks to be right for them, I guess. And part of the reason for that, right, is because of the fact that at the end of the day, Xbox, like we said earlier in the show, they're moving more towards a economy based around just their brand in general. The brand value of Xbox, which is ironic considering they're proceeding to tank their brand value and run it through a wood chipper. But they're like, putting it everywhere with their streaming services and stuff like that. They're trying to move towards more of a cloud-based system. But the problem is, they're not making as much money now with things like consoles and hardware or games and hardware, because they're not really investing in that as much. And so they have to offset that somehow. But again, because of how cheap Game Pass is, they're not really making the difference up there. They're making good money, or they probably were anyway, but, not enough. And so the logic is, okay, we're going to have to increase this incrementally to make up the difference. But the problem is, we were joking before the show, me and Justin, and here's the thing, right? Let's say you need $10 to make a product viable. And you're only making $5. And as a guy with business management, I could speak on some level of authority here. If you have only $5, but you need $10, you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll just crank up the price to $10. That'll fix the problem. Problem is... once everyone sees $10,
somewhere.
Yeah, that money has to come from somewhere, and the customer looks at that and goes, "Well, I was paying $5 before. That was good. $10, that's way overpriced. I'm just gonna cancel the whole thing together." Here's some math for you kids. 5 is higher than 0. So that's pretty much what's happening. To sum this whole mess up in a nutshell, Activision. Good God, there I said it again. Told you it's gonna devolve into that. Microsoft Xbox needed $10 to make their product, which is Xbox Game Pass, viable. The problem is they were only making 5. So they thought, okay, we'll just make it to 10. But now everyone's like, well, 10's too much. Goodbye. We're done. And now, now they're not making any money. Because like I said, everyone is canceling en masse. And say it with me, kids. 5 is higher than 0. This is basic math. So now you're not making any money. So their plan to make more money just really shot itself in the foot. So yeah, like I said, I'd hate to be an Xbox investor right now or an Xbox executive because The math don't math, guys. You wanted to make more money and you wound up making, I'd argue, way less. Because sure, you might have a few customers willing to pay the 10, but as Justin joked with me before the show, you had 5 customers before. Now you just got 1.
You have less
Mm-mm.
now.
If 5 customers pay 5, that's way more than $10 versus only 1 customer that's willing to pay 10. Yeah, they're paying more money. But, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, $25. That's higher than 10. So, eh. It's a mess. So, yeah. That's kind of where we are with the Game Pass. It's a mess. Oh, goodness. We're almost like 21 minutes into the show. So, we'll just leave it at that. So, yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Let me know down in the comment section. What do you honestly think about the Game Pass fiasco? Are you going to cancel your Game Pass in general? I'm just going to come out and say it. I actually have Game Pass, but I've always really had Core. I only really invested in Ultimate once, and that was when I went to the UK for schooling, just so I could play some stuff over there. I literally have a card on my desk of the old Game Pass price, Canadian mind you, for 1 month. $18.99 for Ultimate. This one is dated 2023. That is when I got it. I never bothered putting it on. Just kind of forgot about it. It's sitting on my desk and unused ever since. That was for 1 month. That is almost the price for a full year now for Ultimate. Which might sound better.
But
remind you, that's Canadian pricing. So, yeah. Sure, it's Ultimate. It's only 1 month. But the prices I've quoted are US pricing. So, that's more in Canadian. So when you do the math, it probably works out to a lot more now. I'm sure we're paying the Ultimate 1 month price just like $25, I think it is now. $25, I think it heard last time, versus 18. So yeah, that's an increase. And again, that's just for 1 month. Actually, it's probably more because it's like 30 or something like that dollars because of all the price increases. I haven't checked the conversions, but yeah. You can do the math there. It does work out to more, believe me. But anyways, that's the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bit of a rambly conspiracy theory almost video today. But yeah,
it's
kind of where we are.
It's important to know because if they're increasing the price, then if you don't want the prices to continue to increase, you kind of need to push pressure on them.
Yeah. People vote with their wallets, and my
Now
previous
is the
mention
time.
of their site. Yeah, if my previous words mean anything, remember kids, the site to cancel crashed after this happened. So believe me, they know. Whether they care or not, well, we'll see. I didn't mention this in the show, but I'll close out with this point. They did backpedal, actually, on the Outer Worlds 2, which they were actually going to have for $80 on the market, but then they backpedaled it to 70. Again, US, it's still 80, I think, here, because that's how Canadian prices work. We're terrible that way. But, so yeah, we'll see. Like I said, more news is definitely going to come out in the following days, so we'll see if this goes anywhere. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Leave a like, leave a comment. I know it doesn't really do much for the algorithm anymore these days, but hey, I like seeing it, and it shows you guys care. So, yeah.
Please do.
Have a good one, everybody.